When a sill is installed, there is no polystyrene behind it. You have to cut the polystyrene so as to create the opening required to install a sill, adding at least 1.5 inch to its width at each side. Allow 3/8 of an inch more than the total height. The 3/8 inch corresponds to 1/8 of an inch for the starter strip, 1/8 of an inch for the spacer, and 1/8 of an inch of space above the sill and below the window. With windows having jambs and soldiers, cut the required width on each side. When the polystyrene is removed, inject an acoustic seal at the back along the polystyrene to trap the air. Cut a section of the starter strip approximately the same width as the sill. Install an acoustic joint at the top of the back of the starter strip. Place the starter strip on the polystyrene and screw it into the structure every 8 inches. Place a drop of glue on all screw heads and screw holes of the starter strip. Put 1/8 of an inch spacers, such as flat, galvanized steel washers, at the bottom of the steel starter strip so that the sill slopes about 5 degrees toward the front. When you install the sill, it will be supported by the starter strip glued to the structure with the PL premium that you placed on the screw heads and tilted 5 degrees by the spacers, all 1/8 of an inch from the window. This space will be filled by a caulking joint at the end of your job in order to seal everything. You can install soldiers in 2 ways, namely protruding 1/2 inch or even with all the other units. Whether you are installing a lintel above an opening or on each side as a jamb, the installation principles are the same. A protruding installation is done as follows. Measure the space required. Break portions of the polystyrene ridges in order to be able to insert pre-assembled bricks or stones. Using the PL premium glue, pre-glue the soldiers to a lightweight cement board, 1/2 inch thick by approximately 6 inches by the length of the opening. Once the glue is completely dry, attach the soldier course to the studs, 1/8 of an inch from the starter strip or each side of the opening. This space will be filled with caulking later. Use 2 3-inch deck screws per joint to fasten the panel. One of the 2 screws must be partially sunk to serve as a metal strap. To hold the lightweight cement board in place, use spacers at 1/8 of an inch from the starter strip. Use 2 3-inch deck screws per joint. One of the 2 screws must be partially sunk to serve as a metal strap. You will proceed in the same manner for an arch window. For an installation that aligns with the other units, cut the units to the right dimensions, allowing for a space of 1/8 of an inch between the bottom of the units and the Suretouch starter strip. You must respect the system's insulation on each side and above an opening. Fasten on the far side of an opening small 3/4 by 3/4 inch corner brackets, which will enable you to hold the jamb level with the wall until the Suretouch mortar is injected. Using H-clips, leave 1/2 inch spaces between each of the elements for the Suretouch mortar joint. In order to hold the Suretouch polystyrene panels adequately in place below the accessories, use Suretouch anchors, taking care to remove the prongs, or use galvanized steel flat washers. This will prevent conflicts among the various elements. You can install the Suretouch accessories to protrude, namely on the polystyrene ridges, or flat with the units. To do this, you must remove the ridges to install the accessories at the back of the system. If you use accessories with standard dimensions, full height, full width, cut the polystyrene entirely. Use common 1/2 inch polystyrene panels to have your accessories protrude 1/2 inch. Fasten on the far side of an opening small 3/4 by 3/4 inch corner brackets, which will enable you to screw in a 3-inch deck screw and hold your accessory level with the wall until the Suretouch mortar is injected. Using H-clips, leave 1/2 inch spaces between each of the elements for the Suretouch mortar joint, using the same specifications as for the video 7.2. Masonry must never come into contact with a thermo-flexible element. A caulking joint will seal everything. By thermo-flexible elements, we mean everything that reacts to heat or cold, such as aluminum, shingles, canaxle, wood, vinyl, etc. Or even trim that hides the starter strip above an opening. Or, something that is more commonly used, you can install aluminum flashing over the starter strip to hide it. Don't forget that you have to install the adhesive aluminum flashing first and waterproofing membrane on top of the aluminum flashing so as to allow the water to flow out easily. The starter strip can be coated with a layer of primer, then finished in the same color as the opening.